Welcome into another episode of Discard for Magic. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron.
I'm the other host, James or Jexic, and today we're excited to bring on Ciabatta.
Hello, glad to be here.
We'll be discussing Savanna Elves, and he'll be our expert for that faction today. But first, I like to ask people when they've been on the podcast before, what keeps you coming back to Summoner Wars?
Summoner Wars is my favorite game of all time. I started playing it when I was 10, and I am 24 now, so I've been alive playing Summoner Wars longer than I've been alive not playing Summoner Wars. And it has informed my venture into statistics as a career. I've made amazing friends through it. I've strengthened existing friendships through it. It is the only thing that I can say I am the best in the world at some version of. And that feels really cool. And behind all of that is just a fun game. And it's a great way to pass the time when you have 15 minutes on the subway to use and you feel like doing some thinking.
So you're alluding to there when you said you're the best in the world at some version, would that be the Live League and you have the third title to me and a few other people, lowly people with 2 titles?
I was just thinking playing the Savanna Elves, the reason I'm here, but I will hype up my Live League success.
I also thought you were talking about the Live League.
My fiance would say that I am the greatest in the world by any metric for Summoner Wars. But I would qualify it as the best deck building Savanna Elves player. And then everything else is up for grabs.
I think that's fair.
I'm also the only deck building Savanna Elves player. So that makes it easier.
There's got to be another one out there somewhere.
There was one other guy who used it in the last Flat Hat Games tournament that was deck building, and they used Meaty Mumway, the big tree. So they are either new to the game or the greatest player of all time. No in between.
I liked in the last deck building tournament how there was someone who played base Wayfarers and won a bunch of games.
That was pretty good. Wayfarers are amazing.
No argument there, although I can't get them to work in deck building, but that's neither here nor there. I guess we can dive into the Savanna Elves non-deck building mode, which is what we're talking about today. So just to start off, what are some key tips you have to making strong Savanna Elves plays?
The first thing you need to think about on every turn is the Border Archer. For those who don't know, Border Archer is a 2-attack ranged, 4 health, cost 2 common unit. The stats are alright, they're not great. The ability is what does it. They can spend their movement to prepare or gain 1 boost. And then when they attack, they can spend a boost to attack again. And that allows them to be effectively a 4-attack, 4 health common unit for 2. So you start off with just absurd stats. Nothing is that good. And then that's not adding in all the utility of being able to attack twice, which means you can attack 2 different units. You can attack a unit, kill it, and then attack the unit behind it, save your boosts, and then move and then attack twice on the same turn. And you can stack boosts up on this common unit to use their epic event Chant of Power and deal up to 14 damage from 1 unit in 1 turn in base deck. The Border Archer is the best card in the deck. It is arguably, I wouldn't say so, but it is arguably the best card in the game, and it is your rock. It is your Tom Brady or your LeBron James that everybody else is playing around.
So I guess that would help us talk to the next question, which is, are there any must-play units? And Border Archers, do you try to play all 4 of them every game?
No.
No.
Everything I said is true. If you have a Border Archer and you don't want to use it, you can throw it away. The Savanna Elves are an extremely strong, balanced deck where they only have every single card in their deck is playable except for Meaty Mumway. So if you're in a situation where you're better off with the Rhinos, or you're better off with Spirit Mages to stack boosts up, or you want to summon a champion, whether it's the 2 Border Archers in a trench coat, Makenda Rue, or the boost engine, amazing attacker, Meaty Kairu, you can do any of those, and you don't have to play all 4 Border Archers. You should play at least 1. If you get through a game without playing a single one and you win, you get the title, you get to go on this show next, instead of me.
Basically what you're saying earlier is you always want to have 1 out, so whether or not you summon more depends on whether you have 1 or 2 of them out already?
Yes, they establish your ranged game. They force, because of their economic power, they force the opponent to kind of come to you and take them out before they can do too much damage, and that allows you to counterattack. So if you don't have them out, then it's much harder for you to exert pressure, and you're kind of the one who's forced to approach and forced to move forward, which the Savanna Elves don't really like to do.
A lot of factions struggle to have a rebuttal for the Border Archer, because if you don't have a way to attack down like the same lane, and not many factions do, there's a fair amount that do, but not that many, then you're going to struggle to return fire with the Border Archer. Like if you just return with range, you're going to lose that battle. And if you walk up into melee, then they can counter you with the Border Archer and likely another unit. And so often it's very tough to deal with Border Archers.
That's right. A lot of factions don't have an answer. And the ones that do are the factions that give the Savanna Elves fits. Because if you can deal with Border Archers without breaking a sweat, then you get to play your game, and Savanna Elves are on the back foot without their primary punch. I think we'll talk about those factions more later.
Mm-hmm.
What about the other common units? How do you feel about Lionesses or the Rhinos or the Spirit Mages? You talked about they're all like pretty good, but do you discard like all of them interchangeably? Do you play a lot of them? How do you use those?
Border Archers number 1 as your primary ranged attacker, your strongest economic engine, your combo machine. So you'll be playing a lot of them. Especially sometimes you'll just, if you have extra actions, you can play one and boost it and build that up. Your second best common unit is definitely the Rhinoceros. Their worst case is a 2 attack, 5 health melee attacker for 2 with trample. That's just a solid unit just normally. So they're going to be your primary melee attacker, especially if they can just walk up and back on a unit, get a guaranteed damage from the trample on top of their 2 attack. Their upside is that every boost they have gives them an additional movement. So if you have a 4 or 5 boost Rhino, that gets you 6 or 7 movement. They can finish off weakened summoners. They can do tremendous amounts of trample damage. They can trample someone, run back to safety, and then go out and trample them again next turn. So they have good survivability. They have good survivability from having 5 health. So they really you like putting them in, you like giving them boosts, and you like playing the econ game with the Rhinos. The third best common unit is the Spirit Mage, who are your utility and support. They are a 3 ranged, 2 health, 1 coster, so they're your only 1 cost common unit, which is very valuable on its own. The Savanna Elves are very magic hungry. When they move, they can either add a boost to themselves or give a boost to another unit, and they start off with a boost when you summon them. So what you're most often going to do is use them as an attacker for 1 turn and give the boost to your summoner, Abushi. Store that boost and give 2 boosts at once later. But they can also boost a Border Archer if you need to move it on the turn it's summoned. They can boost a Rhinoceros. They can boost a Lioness. They can boost anybody and build value that way. If you're in a more defensive game, you can also summon one in the back, have it gain boost itself, and then just use your extra movements, shuffling a Spirit Mage in the back, boosting people and gaining boosts, and boosting people and gaining boosts to put a little bit more long-term pressure. The weakest common unit by far is the Lioness, and it's a real shame because in a different deck, the Lioness would be really, really good. They are a 3 attack, 2 health melee attacker who costs 2. So their stats are really terrible. The thing that's supposed to balance them is that they gain boosts every time that they attack, and for every boost they have an additional health. So they can snowball and become, if you have 5 boosts on them, a 3 attack, 7 health melee attacker, which is basically a champion unit on that point. Plus, they build boost for you, which has tremendous synergy with Savanna Elves combo game, which we'll talk about later. If you just boost them once and attack with them, they're a 3 attack, 4 health unit. So that's probably going to survive a turn and snowball. They get to 3 attack, 5 health, and they're more valuable than their stats already. The problem with them is that, 1, they need time to build up, and Savanna Elves like playing fast and they like playing tempo. And 2, the Rhinoceros is in the deck. And the Rhinoceros starts off than the Lioness, and oftentimes ends better than the Lioness. You would rather have a 5 boost Rhino than a 5 boost Lioness in most cases, because that movement and that trample damage is so huge. Of course, it's easier to get the 5 boost on the Lioness, but 0 boost Rhino is way better than the 0 boost Lioness, because a 2 attack 5 health versus a 3 attack 2 health, that's a 2 cost stat line versus a 1 cost stat line, but it costs you 2. Even if you grant the attack at the beginning, which you don't always have if you're using it as a blocker or something, then that's a 3 attack 3 health for 2, which is alright but below average. If they were in a deck that loved to just grant boost globally, like the Fungal Dwarves or I could see them being very good with the Deepwood Groaks. I could see them being very good with the Chosen Grove in a more boost heavy fashion because they like playing the long game. Then they would be a much stronger unit. But in the Savanna Elves, they're just better options for you in most situations.
Yeah, I find that one of my weakness when I play Savanna Elves is I play too many Lionesses. I tend to not play enough Rhinos, and I play too many Lionesses, and they get countered or taken down too easily, and I don't boost them up enough. And
the Rhinos just outclass the Lionesses, and it's a shame because I want the Lionesses to be good. They're fun, but the Lionesses are the only common unit of the 4 where I will regularly not summon a single one. I am almost always summoning at least 1, usually 2, of the others.
Sometimes I feel like I might summon them more now with the new starting setup, because you can like put one in the spot and like Chant of Growth early, just get a bunch of boosts on stuff.
That can be useful, but other commons that get that Chant of Growth also benefit greatly, other than the Spirit Mage, I guess. And you have that starting Lioness already, who, now that they're protected, you can use them to serve as a battery to just add extra boost from Abua whenever you have the chance, whenever you have extra movements. Which is very valuable, but it makes needing to summon another Lioness less valuable because you already have the one from your starting setup.
I already kind of started talking about the events, and you mentioned Chant of Power earlier. Do you want to talk about their events, maybe starting with Chant of Power?
Yes. Chant of Power is the epic event of the Savanna Elves, and it is their big showstopper. It is a 1-cost event, which is pretty rare, and it doesn't give you board presence. Instead, it allows you for that turn to add attack to a unit, common or champion, equal to the number of boosts that they have, up to a maximum of 5. Normally, that's not that good. The rate is like Burn will give you 2 guaranteed damage in the Phoenix Elves for 1 card. So getting 5 non-guaranteed damage for the cost of 1 card plus 1 magic is about on rate. And that's if you're using it on a 5 boost, which you don't often get to do, or not always get to do. But, and this is why I hyped up the Border Archers so much, the Border Archers get to attack twice. So if you put it on a Border Archer that has 6 boosts, because it uses 1 for Swift Shot, it's attacking twice, then you get 10 extra damage with Chant of Power. And 10 extra damage in a line for the cost of 1 card and 1 magic, a fantastic deal economically, and a game ender assassination wise. Even the threat of Chant of Power forces your opponent to play around you, and that opens up a lot of pick your poison opportunities with the Savanna Elves, where the opponent has to either risk dying immediately to Chant of Power or play safe and lose out on economy and just see the Savanna Elves get stronger and their combo potential and their economic potential get greater.
I think I'm going to disagree a little bit here.
Ooh, go for it.
As great as Chant of Power is on Border Archers, it's often better in conjunction with the other event, Chant of Entangling, to put Chant of Power on either a Spirit Mage or a Lioness who has more strength base.
You're not disagreeing with me. That's even better. And I was going to talk about that when we talked about Chant of Entangling. That just adds to the power of Chant of Power, the power of Border Archer when it comes to our second event, Chant of Entangling. This card lets you take 2 common units and gives each common unit for the duration of your turn and the opponent's turn, or until one of your common units dies, the abilities of the other unit. So as you said, you put that on a Spirit Mage or a Lioness in conjunction with the Border Archer. Now your Spirit Mage, 3 attack ranged, or your Lioness, 3 attack melee, has their double attack power, getting to attack twice. The Lioness with this, if it has 5 boosts, because it gains 1 from its momentum ability, gaining a boost when it attacks, can do 16 damage on a single turn, with Chant of Entangling and Chant of Power working together. And that's melee damage instead of ranged, which is 5/4 as good. That's the scary hand. Chant of Power plus Chant of Entangling plus lots of boosts, especially on Abwa, where you can threaten on any of your common units, just makes your opponents have to run for cover.
When I first started playing Savanna Elves, I didn't realize right away was that Chant of Entangling with the Spirit Mage and the Border Archer might be the best combo, just because they're also both ranged, so you can have a lot of options on how to hit things, and you can shoot off the side with one and clear part of the lane and then still shoot down the same lane with the other. And before I had realized that and somebody had used it against me, I was using it a lot to Chant of Entangle almost every time with a Lioness and a Border Archer, which is still very good, and if you get the right setup can be like even better because you get the melee dice, but it's a lot harder to set up and is not as flexible as the Spirit Mage.
Even a Rhino isn't bad because it gives you so much reach at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might not be able to reach close enough because Chant of Power has a 3 range from a Buashi to use. But sometimes you can just like get way down there, trample over stuff, and be very hard to protect against.
Or you give your Border Archer trample and then fire it up with the Chant of Power. Also, while we're talking about Chant of Entangling, if you don't have the combo online, just using it on a Border Archer and one of your strong attackers, Lioness or Spirit Mage, gives you an extra 3 dice to attack with that card. And it means you don't have to boost your Border Archer, because it will either get the boost on attacking with the Lioness, which you can use that momentum before the Swift Shot, or it will get a boost on moving using the Spirit Mage's ability. Just a Chant of Entangling without Chant of Power can be a really valuable tempo, econ, or assassination play just from the Swift Shot without boosts.
What about the Chant of Growth and Chant of Weaving? We haven't touched on those ones yet. We touched on Chant of Growth for a second, but not really.
Chant of Growth and Chant of Weaving are much more situational events, but they are also very strong. Chant of Weaving is the stronger of the two. It is a card that lets you summon off of any of your units, 1 unit for the event, and every time you summon off of that unit, you gain a boost on that unit. So it turns one of your cards into a living gate and a boost generator. This can be very useful for surprise attacks on forward units, from forward units to get more attacks there. It can be very useful to build boosts on a specific card, especially a Border Archer or Abuashi. Pair a Chant of Power and get some extra boost that way. It can be good if you are facing gate destruction. You don't have to worry about gate destruction as much if you know you have Chant of Weavings to still allow you to summon your cards. Chant of Growth is a card that grabs a unit and all units adjacent to it, all friendly units adjacent to it, and gives them 1 boost. So this is pure boost generation, up to a maximum of 5 if you have them in the perfect system with 1 card surrounded by 4 friendly units. More often you're using this for 3, sometimes 4, if you can set it up. This card is a lot more modest, but it's also a lot more easy to use. You can often do it to get some boost on Abuashi, make a Chant of Power turn stronger. You can use it to enable cards if you just don't have the movements to boost them. You can use it to get boosts on Lionesses and Rhinos in the back row to threaten future turns. You can use it for after you move Abuashi, and then you use a Chant of Growth, and now you can give 2 boosts on the next turn. It is flexible. A theme with this deck is that stacking boost on Abuashi is very strong, no matter how you're doing it. Chant of Weaving and Chant of Growth, there are plenty of games where I use neither of them, but I'm never sad to have them, and they're very good cards that you want to be able to utilize in the situations that call for it.
I want to touch on that point again where you said that it's powerful to put boost on a Buishi, because I think that's probably one of the least intuitive things in the deck, because he doesn't actually get any benefit from having boosts on him. It's not like Balzar or something that has a benefit from having boosts on him, but it's the fact that he will shift all those boosts +1 when he shifts the boost with Spirit Bond that is powerful, because that allows you to put them all on a Border Archer or all on that Lioness or whatever you're going to use Chant of Power on. I think that's a good point, that it's good to just use Spirit Mages or whatever you can to get extra boosts on a Buishi.
That's right. And the fact that it's on your summoner means that your opponent can't snuff it out. If you have all of your boosts on the Lioness or a Border Archer preparing for a big Chant of Power turn, they can try to focus fire that common unit and take it out, and now all of your boosts are gone and your combo's wasted. But if the boosts are on Abu Ashi, who is protected because it's your summoner, then they can't do that. They just have to prepare for any common unit becoming your bomb and your Chant of Power target.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, yeah, if they take out the guy that has the boost, then they just win. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're protecting him, so it makes sense.
Even with his 4 attack, he is usually hiding in the corner, 3 spaces away from everybody else. 3 spaces behind everybody else.
So we want to dive into their champs. I guess maybe the simplest one to talk about is maybe Makenda Rue. We can start with her.
Yes. Makenda Rue is a 2 attack, 9 health champion who costs 5. She has the exact same abilities as a Border Archer. She's basically just a big, expensive, high health Border Archer. The biggest detriment to her is that she is not a Chant of Entangling target. So a lot of your combos will not work with her if you're trying to get Chant of Power onto a Lioness or a Spirit Mage. Or a Rhino, although that's not as effective. It's not as effective to put it on the Rhino because the Rhino does not generate boosts themselves. The Lioness generates boosts on attack, and usually gets boosts on previous turns to boost its health. The Spirit Mage generates boosts when it moves, so it's easier to get to your 5 boost limit with those. Makenda Rue is still extremely solid. It's a big Border Archer. I hyped up Border Archers at the beginning of this podcast, talking about how great they are. And everything I said about them, other than the entangling combos, applies just as much to Makenda Rue. Plus, if you get a bunch of boosts on her with 9 health, which is really good for a 5-cost champion, she's going to live a turn or two, and you might be able to use those boosts for a second Chant of Power. Doesn't happen often, but it's really big. And it's very fun to do.
What about Midi Kairu?
Oh, Midi Kairu is a fascinating card. I think it is the hardest card to use in the deck. I think it is the most interesting card in the deck. I really like the Big Lion. It is a 4 attack, 7 health champion who costs 5. 2 abilities. 1, when it moves, every friendly adjacent unit gains 1 boost. So it is a massive boost engine. 2, after it attacks, you can spend 1 boost or 1 magic to force the lion 1 or 2 spaces in any direction. So it can attack and then get out of the way. It can attack and then retreat to safety. It can attack and then block and then take up a summoning spot with the unit that it just killed. Very versatile. Unfortunately, this force does not grant boosts in the same way that Midi Kairu's move does. So don't count on it for that. Midi Kairu is really interesting because it can do everything, but it can't do everything at the same time. It has 4 attack melee, which is the best you're going to get in this deck and many decks outside of buffs like Chant of Power. 4 attack, 7 health is a pretty solid stat line, so you can just use this as an attacker in a pinch. Although 7 health is pretty easy to take down, and you want to protect him so you can get value out of that. Where Midi Kairu is even better is being used as a boost engine in the back. He can give boost to multiple units at once, up to 3 if it has a kind of diagonal formation and Midi Kairu moves into the center spot. It can boost Abu Shi, which again, as we talked about earlier, is extremely powerful for threatening a huge number of different combos. It can be used as a movement tool in the end game, so having it in the back isn't that big of a deal, even though it is a melee unit, because it will be able to get into the game eventually, and it won't be stuck behind enemy lines in the way that a 5 boost Volcor in Obsidian Dwarves can sometimes happen. However, it can't really attack from the back row because it's a melee card, and it can't generate boosts that effectively from the front row because it's busy attacking and it dies too quickly. So when you use the big line, you have to be careful how you use it, and you have to make sure that you have the board state to support it, because without common units to boost and protect the lion, it just dies too quickly, and then you wasted 5 magic on a card that exited the game after 1 or 2 turns without that much to show for it. Lionesses, it needs its pride in order to operate as effectively as it wants to.
Yeah. The funny thing to me is you talked about all these great uses for the meaty Cairo, and you didn't talk about the way I probably use it, which is to attack extra down the same lane, like have it go up and attack and then force out of the way, and then shoot down that lane with like a border archer or something.
I mentioned that at the beginning. That's
Oh,
part
you
of what
did?
makes it a good frontline unit. Yeah. I said it really briefly and then skipped over. So it is good to bring up. I appreciate you making that a point because I kind of glossed over it because I'm so used to it, but that's an extremely powerful ability. I think it's the only post-attack move that the Savanna Elves have.
Yeah, and those are pretty rare in general. And it's like the only ability that like costs a magic pretty much. Aside from like I guess now mind mages maybe or yeah, or whatever those guys are in.
It's very uncommon for abilities to cost magic nowadays.
Midi Kairu's ability can cost a boost, and boosts are, I think, on average valued at about half a magic based on the Bloom Warrior from the Deepwood Groaks.
Funny thing to me though is that you have to go out of your way to put boosts on Meaty Cairo. You have to like use Aboshi's ability
Yeah.
or something. Like they don't just naturally appear on him because he gives boost to everybody else but himself.
He's too selfless. He reminds me of Aslan, aka Lion Jesus from the Chronicles of Narnia. He's got those vibes. Bloom Warrior and also the Lioness. They both take 1 boost and then turn it into 1 attack or 1 health. And Eldritch Noodles did a statistical analysis a while back where they found that each stat point was worth half a magic on average. So if you can spend boosts to use Midi Kairu's ability, that's usually better than magic. But the magic is there in a pinch, or in an assassination play where you don't care about the long game.
Rip to Eldritch Noodles, because I don't think we've seen them in a long time.
They were clutch. I remember them going to me for statistical proofreading because I work as a statistician. And I looked at it and went, I think you did a better job than I would have. This is perfect.
So the next question we had for you was best way. Oh, never mind. There is another champ, but I guess
There
we
is
don't
another-
need-
Just gonna skip over Midi Mumway like that.
I just forgot
We got to talk about Meaty Mumway.
how he's a non-bow with Chant of Power and
Meaty Mumway is a 1 attack, 11 health champion who costs 8 magic. 8 magic. Other 8 magic champions include Waitui, who is an 8 attack, 8 health champion, melee, who has like damage on everything. Meaty Mumway gains 1 strength for each boost it has to a maximum of +5. The same ability that Chant of Power gives. So as you pointed out, it's a non-bow. It cannot get to 11 attack. It can only get to 6 attack. And it also has trample, just like the Rhino, but with no extra movement. Meaty Mumway, in my opinion, is the worst card in the entire game of Summoner Wars. There are the fewest number of situations where you would want to play Meaty Mumway.
by that metric, I could see it, at least in base decks, because Savanna Elves, they never have 8 magic if you're playing them right.
And if you do, you spend it on one of your other 2 champions. They're better.
A use case understanding, yeah. Like even the Eater, who disappoints you every time you summon him, does get summoned more often.
That's right. Every card that is more frustrating, more annoying, more aggravating to use than Meaty Mumway, you use them. You never, ever use Meaty Mumway.
Except did once, but yeah.
I mean, you use him to style on people. If I'm playing a child, I will use Meaty Mumway. If I'm already winning and there's someone who I really don't like, which I'm very thankful nobody in the Summoner Wars community matches that description. But if I really hate somebody, I will use Meaty Mumway. That's about it. He's not a good play. He costs too much. he gives you nothing when you summon him, because when you summon him, he's 1 attack, so a Rhino's better. 8 attack plus 5 boosts for a card that 11 health is really good, but for 8 cost, it's not that good.
Yeah.
He just dies. The economics of this card, combined with the massive magic need for the Savanna Elves, he's not worth it. That's why he's my profile picture. Because that
Because
way
it's the only time you'll see
that
it.
way he's there. Yeah. And because I got Medium Umway in the like Forum Mafia game on the first edition Summoner Wars forums when I was 11 or 12 years old. So I have a connection to the card that way. I'm not saying anything about Medium Umway out of malice. I love this guy.
That's a funny thing to bring up first edition, because he was actually a really good champion in first edition.
He was amazing.
He was like as good as Krung, but he had better events to back him up.
Re-attack 8 health for an 8 cost in first edition, where all the stats were halved, and the deck wanted him, and the deck used him. There were some deck building events on Vassal where you could use any card from any deck in your deck, and Medium Umway got used consistently in 3 champion Stompfests.
It's unfortunate though, because I think after the changes, which I guess we could get to soon, for Savanna Elves recently, I don't think they're really looking to change Savanna Elves anymore. So you're just gonna keep Medium Umway as this weird appendix that's useless.
I mean, they didn't want to buff him. Savanna Elves are arguably the strongest deck in the game.
Let's move on to that.
Yeah.
Do you think they're the strongest deck in the game?
Short answer, yes. The long answer, I don't know what the strongest deck in the game is. The Savanna Elves have been nerfed, and the nerf was significant. Losing the attack on Abushi matters more than you would think in the endgame. And the starting setup is, wow, way, way more fun, but less powerful on a competitive level. That said, the Savanna Elves have a good, or at worst 45% matchup against everybody, have very, very few losing matchups, have a game plan for everybody. They force the opponents to do their thing. Their cards in a vacuum are stronger than almost any other decks. Their card synergy together is stronger than almost any other decks. They have no consistency issues because all of their cards are good. They are matching up well against the newly released factions because tempo is becoming more important. I would say, yeah. There's other decks that have arguments, especially if you think they're busted or overpowered in some mechanic. But in terms of just general, all around, every part of this deck is slightly above average, the Savanna Elves have it.
Yeah, they really don't have like a whole lot of weak points in their game plan, which makes them a hard deck to deal with, and they do very well in the meta.
And I also think they're a good starting point to understand the boost mechanic. Like if you're a new player listening to this and you're thinking, well, what would be a good deck to try to learn? I think Savanna Elves is up there because it kind of gets you used to using the boost and thinking about that. And they're not too complicated. They're not, they're maybe not quite as easy as like Phoenix Elves or Tundra Orcs, but they're going to give you greater rewards for learning them because they're such a strong deck.
And they feel fun. Getting the combos is so satisfying. So in a player retention front, giving them an extremely strong deck that's really gratifying to use, I think is a good move. If I knew nothing about a player, other than that they were new, I would recommend the Savanna Elves. Though to be fair, if I knew nothing about a player at all, I would recommend the Savanna Elves.
What do you think are their best matchups? You mentioned the new factions. I know I'm taking the question for you, but I think they're actually quite good against like the Guild Dwarves, who people have been concerned about.
I would agree.
Mostly because those Border Archers match up well against range units that can't move past their back rows, in my experience. So
yeah, I obviously don't have very much matchup experience with the brand new decks, but they do seem good against them. They really like facing decks that want to approach and want to play fair. Because the Savanna Elves want to play fair and just beat you straight up with their better abilities and their better cards. So they're good against the Vanguards. They're good against the Tundra Orcs. They're good against Decks like the Spectral Conclave struggle against ranged. They're very good against them. They're good against lower tier decks where they can just kind of bully them. They're surprisingly good against the Cave Goblins, even though that they are kind of a few units more powerful because they have so much chip damage and ways to damage 2 cards at once with the Rhinos and the Border Archers. They're good against the Storm Goblins because they like to be spread out. They like having everybody 3 spaces away from their summoner. If I had to pick the deck that they have the strongest matchup against, I would say the Shimmer Sea Fae. But that's not very fair because they're the worst deck in the game as of recording. If I had to say the deck that they have the best matchup against relative to all of the deck's power levels, I think I'd say a Spectral Conclave.
Interesting.
What would you say?
I don't know. I was thinking. I was trying to think about the worst, but like their best ones.
They don't have any busted ones.
Storm Goblins is probably a good one.
Yes.
Because like you said, they can spread out and not get damaged too much by the chip damage. Like you're not taking that much damage on Abuishi, even though he has low health. And like they can't get Thrak out there without dying to a Chant of Power combo, or at least threatening that.
It might be Storm Goblins. I'll switch my answer.
Storm Goblins might be one. I feel like Storm Goblins still do all right because Ibushi's not got a ton of health. Crimson Order, I feel like, might be one.
The Crimson Order have a very strong econ game, and they can play ranged pretty happily.
You can shoot through the Baron's defenses so easily.
That's true.
Like, if you can easily set up a Chant of Power turn, maybe more easily than almost any other faction, because the Barons almost always, if they're playing Crimson Order well in the fight, if you get the lineup, you can just take out a unit, the cultist that's in front from the side if possible, or even if you can't, you can throw another 6-7 dice just shooting straight through it if you have enough boost for it.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit because we're talking about the best matchups, and it got me thinking about matchups. The ones I think it might be tougher, I've got 2 for you that I think, and I'll see if you agree. Breakers and Deepwood Grokes.
Ooh. Breakers are, in my opinion, the Savanna Elves' worst matchup by a pretty significant margin.
I could see that.
Well, I mean, like Mind Witches copying Border Archers hurts as well.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're giving me flashbacks. Their ranged game is so strong, it beats the Border Archers. It beats the Spirit Mages. It beats Makendaru. So if you play ranged, you lose against the Breakers. You have to approach them. And then they mind control you. And it's a rough time.
And then my other one was the Deepwood Grokes, just because I was thinking Mind Wardens kind of like getting shot twice for 1 damage by Border Archers. And then you've got like the Seers in the back line just, you know, with more range than the Border Archers too.
They have the boost to play slow or fast. I would say that the Deepwood Grokes are the 3rd worst matchup for the Savanna Elves, for the reasons you stated.
A couple other ones that are better matchups, I feel like, for the Savanna Elves are Fungal Dwarves and Chosen Grove. Fallen Kingdom, maybe, too. Chosen Grove, I haven't played it a whole lot, but I would imagine that since the tree can't move, you can really line up your shots. And then Fungal Dwarves and Fallen Kingdom just really struggle with the reach against Savanna Elves.
Chosen Grove is tricky because you can line up your shot, but they can also survive it.
That's true. So maybe that one. I haven't played that one. That's the one I'm the least confident about of those 3, but it is one of the only summoners that could survive the shot, and you don't even have to roll that bad for them to survive the shot. 20 health is no joke. So
You said the Grokes are the 3rd worst matchup, and we said Breakers are the worst. So I have 2 guesses for the 2nd worst matchup, and they're both favorite factions of mine, and that would be probably the Wayfarers or the Obsidian Dwarves. But
Ooh, it is neither.
neither.
I gotta guess. Cloaks.
Also not cloaks. Those are fun ones, though.
Cave Goblins?
No, I said Cave Goblins are one of the better matchups because they have the chip damage. They have the damaging 2 units at once.
Shadow Elves?
Nope. Shadow Elves are up there. Shadow Elves
They
can
high
assassinate them really effectively. High Elves. That's it.
Really? Really?
Oh, yeah. The Arbiters of Peace are better stats than the Border Archers are in terms of long-range combat. The Arbiters of Justice love getting up in your face and making you take 2 damage instead of 1 with the Border Archers. Law of Sanctity completely blocks Chant of Power. You're very common heavy, so Valeria loves Law of Sanctity, get in your face, move you around. The long game, you can't even win that because Cassia the Gentle exists and will just heal them forever. It's a rough time. They just control the match on you.
But even still, you're thinking it's like a 45% matchup.
Yeah, it's 45%. The Savanna Elves, to their credit, do not have any completely busted matchups. There's no Crimson Order versus Cave Goblins, Fallen Kingdom versus Cave Goblins, everybody versus Shimmer Sea
Bullying a
Fae.
low tier faction type of thing.
No Polar Dwarves pre-nerf versus Sand Goblins. The worst of them. The Savanna Elves, everybody has a fighting chance against them because they have a 10 health summoner, because are the few and the proud. If you can take down their units and stall them out, keep them from amassing tempo, they're kind of stuck in the water with no paddle. I don't know what the expression is.
That's what I found with Obsidian Dwarves sometimes. Either as or against. You blow up their units and they happen to not draw the units
Yeah.
that they need. Sometimes the Obsidian Dwarves are just good at confirming kills on Lionesses and Rhinos and Border Archers and getting that damage through. And sometimes you just don't have enough magic or you don't have the guys to summon and you can get overrun by Balzar. Again, it's risky because he can get hit with that Chant of Power combo too.
You're always risking the Chant of Power. It's the beauty of playing the Savanna Elves. You get to sit back, they have to struggle with it. You might have it, you might not. They don't know.
Do you feel like factions that can get up close and personal and like push on you quick are harder for Savannah Elves to deal with, like the Wayfarers or the Tundra Orc, factions of that nature?
Without a doubt. The Wayfarers are one of the hardest matchups. They can assassinate you before you can get going. The Tundra Orcs, they seem pretty harmless, quote unquote honest faction. But then For Glory comes out and Brutal Force comes out and everything you have is gone. Plus, they can tank some of your hits.
Yeah, every time I look at Grog, I think he's pretty harmless.
Especially Selendar will just blow you up.
So how do you try to counter these rush factions then? Like, what do you think is the way to deal with the forward pressure?
The best way to do it is to deny them their resources, especially their commons. If they don't have units to rush, then they can't really rush you. So the Savanna Elves, against those aggro assassination threats, they will oftentimes target the common units, try to get kills, build magic like crazy, which I do in basically every game I play, but it's much better with the Savanna Elves than it is with other factions. Try to get on top of the snowball. Try to build up your cards, build up your boosts while keeping them away. And keep Abushi completely out of the fight. He is not a fighter. He is a lover. He gives boosts to his Lionesses and his Rhinos and his Border Archers, and then sends them off to fight and die.
You mentioned that you tend to try to amass a lot of magic. So what cards do you typically discard for magic beyond Medium Mumway?
All of them, every single one. The beauty of this deck, every card is good. So every card is disposable because it will be replaced by a good card. The ones that I am least happy to discard are the Chant of Entanglings, which I think are the best event in the game. My second copy of Chant of Power as my finisher and my win condition, and the Border Archers. Or the last copy of my Rhinos.
So you're kind of keeping track of how many you've got left and you don't want to be without that tool.
Definitely. Especially if your Chant of Entanglings are further down in your deck. You want to be able to set up your Chant of Entangling combos. And if you're completely out of one common unit, you won't be able to use them as part of your setups.
Although you did say earlier that Lioness is probably mostly going to get discarded 3 or 4 times a game, right?
That's right. The Lionesses go, they can get summoned. If you're in a situation where you need a melee unit and you don't have a Rhino, or in a situation where you really need that 3 attack, they can be very useful. Or if you're already winning and you just want to build up some extra champions for 2 cost and cement the game, they're fantastic for that. But if it's like neck and neck and you're trying to build an advantage, the Lionesses, despite their vibes as the snowballing momentum guys, are not your play. My cat just poked me. I think she's mad that I'm slandering the Lionesses like this.
This is cat erasure.
It is. I hyped up Meaty Kairu. He's in my top 10 champions on summonerwarzone.com.
I should update mine. I haven't done that in a while.
No, I feel like most people don't update it anymore. Ciabatta, you also have been a big component in the community and running a lot of tournaments. Many iterations of Ciabatta Bing, Ciabatta Booms.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you a question. and this might be a difficult one for you. What are your favorite community-run tournaments? So not the Plaid Hat tournaments, but what are your favorite ones that the community has run? Can be yours, can be other people's.
Well, mine are my least favorite because I have to do all the effort of organizing it and hosting it. All the other ones I just get to play. I don't think they're tournaments, but Massimo's League and the Live League that Eden and
Run.
Run, yes. Shout out Run. I'm so sorry I forgot about you there. Those are really good because they're consistent. They're going on constantly. Tortugatron has the Turtle Terrors, which are open for everybody. Those are very fun. There's the Faction Masters matches. There's the Tournament of Champions. Those are more invitationals. So I like the ones that everybody can do the most, but they're still very, very good and very, very well run, and I want to hype them up. I love all of them, but if you're forcing me to pick one, I'll give it to Massimo's League. It's been over 30 seasons, and it's been going on consistently the whole time. He's got the whole website and everything. He's been very understanding whenever I'm late with my links or whenever I say I'm going to finish an article and then don't. I feel a debt of gratitude to him for just putting up with that and everybody who doesn't send in links. Although I do have the best record in the live league, so I do like Eden for organizing that and Run for organizing that. Final answer, Massimo's League for the 32 seasons, starting with this next one. I guess it's still season 31.
I will point out so far, maybe it'll change by the time this podcast goes out, but you're the only person to have won both of those leagues as the top person.
That's right.
3 in the live league, and I'm not sure how many in Massimo's league. Is it 2?
I have 1 win and 1 runner-up.
Best player in the game.
If you say so, I am. I would love for people to think I'm the best, but I don't think I'm the best or anywhere close.
The one thing I think is very interesting is that like people who play in the open queue often don't even know who you are in terms of playing. Because like you basically just play tournaments and leagues. You don't really do the open queue much at all.
That's correct. There's so many fun tournaments and leagues to do. Plus, I'm playing practice matches, and plus, I'm playing mentoring matches. Now, I'm playing a lot of deck building matches private matches to try to build different deck lists, try to get a better deck building scene to make it easier for people to jump into that. All of those matches means I don't have time for the open queue ones. And there's nothing riding on them anyway, so.
Except the Faction Masters invite. We'll never see you in there.
I will never get into Faction Masters. It's tragic. The idea also is if you want to be successful on open queue, you have to play a lot of matches. Mm-hmm. And I am so slow in my games. I take forever. Live League, I take longer on the chess clock than almost anyone else. I think my match against Jexic, he spent like
Massimo
10 minutes.
Takes a while too.
I was gonna say Massimo's up there with you, I think.
I like thinking. I like planning it out.
There's nothing wrong with that. I wish I could think more when I start playing sometimes, because then I just kind of go like, this seems right, and then it's not always right.
Yeah.
It's all the optimizations. For my match against Jexic for Turtle Terror, I think I ran 12 or 13 different Ice Ram combos before settling on one.
You did a Ram double shift, I think.
Yep. Yeah. And I made sure to keep you're playing Wayfarers, so I made sure to keep the wall, not gates this time, this is a true wall of 6 cards on every column to prevent you from getting in and getting Seek the Horizon up.
We'll see if it can keep that up the whole game.
We'll see.
Joke's on you. He never wanted to Seek the Horizon.
The card's in, but it prevented me from getting more damage on your summoner. So it might have been the wrong move, but I didn't want to get counterattacked.
It was all a ploy.
I can talk about how great everybody is.
Just talk about how great James and I are for like 10 minutes. I think that's...
I can do that. This podcast is amazing. It's so enjoyable. It's so informative. You're doing it consistently. You're getting the creators of the game on the podcast. That's super impressive. That's the biggest celebrity that there is in Summoner Wars is Mr. Plaid Hat himself.
Obi Dowk.
You played 7,000 games of Summoner Wars?
Between us, sure. No,
definitely between us.
When we last talked to Joe, it was like 5,000 some, so it's got to be like 6,000 by now. I don't know about 7,000. I think I've slowed down, but
and I was close to 2, I think.
So maybe we've got 8 or 10,000 games between us. We'll see.
That's amazing. I've probably played like 1,200, and I think that is an unreasonable number.
That's the one statistic I'm curious about. Is like if it's like hours played or hours thought
Yeah.
about, you might have me beat.
Yeah, I might.
My Wayfarers game, I might spend 4 minutes on a Wayfarers game total.
Yeah, James
Yeah.
just turns his brain off when he starts playing Summoners, and he just
It's
Just
us
goes for it.
autopilot now. I probably have as many Wayfarers games as you have games total, I would imagine.
I could see that.
Yeah, I just played them a whole lot. I like them.
Eager adventure, go vroom. But yeah, the community of people, including you in the podcast, I will hype you up, is absolutely fantastic. I am a Discord moderator, and it's a enjoyable experience that makes me feel better about humanity. I don't think that's supposed to happen, but it does. Everyone's so kind. Everyone's so welcoming. Whenever I'm on Reddit or Tumblr or whatever, and I finish up and I go to bed, I'm always like, that made me feel worse about the world. Every time I'm talking to people about Summoner Wars, I end up feeling better. And that's a tremendous testament to the community. The people like you who are keeping it going and creating stuff for everyone to enjoy.
Thanks, Ciabatta.
Of course.
we do what we can.
You succeed. The organization shown in this podcast is leagues above what I see at my job at the US government. So
I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse than compared to the U.S. government, but
You said leagues above.
yeah, leagues above. Yeah.
yeah, the Live League and Maximus League. 2 leagues above.
2 league. Well, we appreciate you coming on the podcast and hanging out with us, chatting some Savanna Elves.
My pleasure.
This has been another episode of Discard for Magic, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.